Hello everyone, it's Paul Driscoll here, aka the Drisk, and today I wanted to cover the classic Amiga shooter called Apidya, released in 1992. Now, looking at the title screen, you'll be forgiven for thinking this is a sequel to an obscure Japanese shooter, but in fact it was done by little-known German developer Kaiko, who's only really known for their other game, Gem X, and they also did a Super Gem X, which was a puzzle game. They were, however, big fans of manga and anime and all things Japanese, like Japanese video games, and so they really wanted to give that sense of their games being Japanese as well, giving it that look and feel. In the game you play a transformed wasp who must blast all the bugs controlled by the dark magician Exa, who's kidnapped your beloved Huri. The name Apidya is of course a variant from Latin for bee-like insect, which in Latin is called Apidya. The game was actually called Apidya 2, but the first game never existed. It was just that the guys working on the game were big fans of Afterburner 2, even though no one had ever really seen the first Afterburner game, and they thought that was quite cool, and so they wanted to do the same. For the game itself, it's a rock-hard shooter, but set in a beautiful and interesting natural world backdrop, which was beautifully drawn by Frank Matsk, who, armed with a stack of nature books, did a wonderful job drawing out the natural world for you to blast your way through. The thing about the game that also impresses as well is how smooth and console-like the game actually is, with Peter Thirolf, who did the programming, really doing an amazing job here, doing lots of coding, clever trickery to really get the most out of the Amiga machine. To round off the trio nicely, the music was done by the German maestro himself, Chris Hulsbeck, who has done an amazing job here, doing stirring music for you to blast away to. I really do love this game, despite its punishing difficulty. In fact, when recording this, I actually had to go back and stick a trainer cheat so I could record all 5 worlds, such as its difficulty, or perhaps my lack of gaming skill prowess. But if I hadn't put the cheat on, I wouldn't have been able to show you beyond World 2. The title was a real game of love for Kaiko, with the trio spending nearly 2 years writing the game. Admittedly though, they were of course doing that between other paid projects, so they were able to finish the game without a publisher. When they did finally find a publisher, they went to Blue Byte subsidiary Playbyte, who unfortunately only released the game in Germany and not in the much bigger UK market. Team 17 did eventually pick up the publishing rights for the game in the UK, but that was almost a year on, and by then most people in the UK had already played the game and loved it through other means. And so by the time Team 17 released the game, sales were also lackluster in the UK. And it's a real shame that that was the case, as it's clear that there was original plans to do console versions of the games and even a possibility of a sequel, but all was put on hold due to the game's poor sales. A fan remake was done in 2002, which can be found on http://apidya.vg-network.com. So after this game, what did the guys go on to do? Well, Frank Matsk, who did the graphics, would go on to work for Factor 5 and do the graphics for the brilliant Turrican 3, or Mega Turrican as it was known on the Mega Drive, and he did all the graphics for the Super Turrican games. He now seems to work as a managing director, doing German local releases of such classic games as Doom 3, Dishonored and The Evil Within. Peter Thirolf, on programming, would also go to Factor 5 and handle the brilliant Amiga version of Turrican 3, another amazing programming masterpiece that shows even more graphical trickery that he's able to pull out of the Amiga machine. Recently he's worked on Sacred 3 on the PC. Finally, Chris Hulsbeck, who probably needs no introduction in Europe at least, who has gone on, of course, to do all the fantastic Turrican music, Great Guyana Sisters, Rogue Squadron games, and has recently gone on to do the great Giana Sisters Twisted Dream music. So all in all, I love this game. It is a great shooter that really shows off the capabilities of the Amiga. It is a shame, however, how punishing the game's difficulty is, with unavoidable deaths and cruel parts of the levels, meaning that most won't see past the first two worlds. Although in fairness, the first two worlds are the best parts, with later levels being the sewers and the weird space and techno levels being really out of place from their earlier levels. Still, the game rightly holds a place in people's hearts as a cult classic, and it's rightly considered as one of the best shoot-em-ups on the Amiga. Well, that's what I thought about the game, but what did reviewers back in the day think about the game? Amiga Power gave the game 92%, saying a wonderfully satisfying blast, the best in years. Forget the rest of the new wave shoot-em-ups, and yes, that does include Project X and Agony, both reviewed in this very issue. The shoot-em-up renaissance starts here. Amiga Format gave the game 90%, saying an excellent game. It deserves format gold because although it's a style we've seen 100 times before, it looks so good and it plays so beautifully, and it's polished until it shines. CU Amiga gave the game 80%, saying 2 years in development, Apidya is an engrossing blast. Its intriguing design means that you actually get 5 mini-games in one, which can't be bad. It's not gonna set the world on fire, but it's no damp squib either. Amiga Action gave the game 80% as well, saying graphical originality and smooth scrolling with plenty of enemies provide many of the necessary ingredients for a top-rated shoot-em-up. While Apidya does possess these attributes, it lacks the vigour and truly explosive power of the likes of Project X. Punchy sound effects are missing, and being stripped of certain weapons when you die leaves you feeling a little underpowered when back in action. The second player, because he can't power up, seems to be there just for the ride. Apidya needs streamlining with a few extra thrills here and there. The One Amiga gave the game 79%, saying the game lacks graphic sophistication of, say, Project X, but it packs a rock-hard sonic punch, and there's enough solid action to keep you going for a fair while. So there you go, that's what the reviewers thought. All in all, it's a solid blaster and well worth tracking down and giving the game a go, especially if you love your shoot-em-ups. So why don't you track down this game today?
Retro Asylum, the UK's #1 retro gaming podcast show.